report takes a little bit longer than normal.
Yeah, right. Understood.
Some people call that a coping mechanism. I call it creative scheduling.
I like that. It's all in the presentation. I call it making me fit for public consumption.
I'm gonna put a Jeopardy theme song.
Catherine, is this 100,000 getting paid? Paid from the pavement? Is that what they fixed?
It's from the loan. We capped 100,000, which was more than what was necessary. And told them that once they fixed all the places that Donnie had, that we would return their money to them.
So on Webb Road, they fixed the pothole in the middle of Corey Martin, in front of Corey Martin's, but they didn't fix the crack going up the hill. It's probably a 30-foot long crack in the middle of the travel lane, not where the seams meet in the middle, but in the actual, like, the middle of the travel lane.
Right.
Hill.
I'll talk to Donnie. We'll hold the check for a few days and see if we can get that taken care of. He said that everything had been fixed, and he was following the cable company around to the different locations.
Good evening, all. Welcome, council. Welcome, audience, and everyone viewing out TV land. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Pittsfield Town Council here on Tuesday, May 16th, 2023. I'd like to start the meeting by inviting everybody to stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all very much. And if you can help us see the Renaissance, please. All right. Thank you all very much. So let's move on to number 2, the adoption of the minutes of the regular meeting held on May 2nd, 2023. I'll look for a motion from the council, please.
Move that we adopt the minutes of May 2nd, 2023.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Thank you, gentlemen. Any questions or comments? Any changes, council? Everything's perfect. Love it. All right, very well. Hearing none. Since we're all ready to vote, all those in favor of the adoption of the minutes of the regular meeting held on May 2nd, 2023, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. The minutes have been adopted as written. So let's move on to number 3, presentations, congratulations, and introductions. Catherine, if you would, please.
Very briefly, I was invited to a business office to have a meeting regarding downtown revitalization, and it was a very interesting meeting. We met with a prominent commercial real estate company and a premium development and planning group regarding the downtown. So we all have some work to do. 2 councilors joined us. It was extremely stimulating and some good future opportunities for the town to explore. So there'll be a lot more information coming in the future. This is just the first introductory meeting. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Catherine. All set with that?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, very well. Let's move on to number 4, the public hearings. Catherine, if you would, ordinance 23-05.
Ordinance 23-05, public hearing, that the town council hereby ordains that a lot of land at the Pittsfield Municipal Airport be leased to Calvin Theobald, being a 50-foot by 50-foot parcel designated on Exhibit A, the official Pittsfield Municipal Airport lease map, as Lot G, and further, that the town manager be authorized to execute an airport land lease and rights agreement with Calvin Theobald, depicting the terms of the lease for a period of 20 years with a renewal option for 2 periods of 10 years each at the beginning rate of 7 cents per square foot.
All right, very well, thank you, Captain. Look for, I'm sorry, this is a ordinance open to public hearing, so we have the opportunity for the audience, anyone in the audience wishes to speak for or against ordinance 23-05. Any comments at all? Very well. Anyone on the Zoom call that wishes to speak? All right, very well. I shall close to public input. Council, any questions or comments on this ordinance 23-05? Very well. Hearing none, I sense we're ready to vote. All those in favor of ordinance 23-05, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Ordinance 23-05 passes.
So who do we want to have to make the motion and do the second? Howard, do you want to have made the motion?
Sure.
Oh,
I think we moved right ahead.
I'm getting way ahead of myself. Yes, thank you.
I know you want to make it quick, Mark.
Someone say it's rushing. I just say it's really efficient.
And who wants
Sure.
to?
So, yes, right, very well. So I'll look for a motion from the council for ordinance 23-05.
Move that we accept ordinance 23-05.
Second, thank you very much. Let's turn the clock back a minute to my apologies, everybody. So now we have a motion and a second to accept ordinance 23-05. Now I shall ask for input from the council. Any questions or comments? Very well. Now we shall vote officially. All those in favor of ordinance 23-05, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it again. Ordinance 23-05 passes properly. So that takes care of public hearings. Captain, let's move on to reports. Council committees, Finance Committee.
We met last week and we just kind of ironed out where funds would be coming from to support hiring of the new town manager and advertisements and things like that for that hiring. So
Okay.
that went well, and we know where money can come from and plenty of funds there to
I
accommodate that.
anticipate we will have an approach to the council very, very soon. Very soon, probably at or before the next meeting. So thank you. All set with the
Yep.
finance report? All right, thank you very much, Jason. Ordinance Committee, any reports? No. Very well. Let's move on to police. Come in, please. You haven't missed a good part yet, so we're all set. So let's move on to the board and committee updates. Catherine, if you would, let's move on to B, if you want to step through that, please.
Yes, thank you. For the planning board will meet near the end of May or the first week in June to meet all of the deadlines of the different projects that are coming up for site plans that will need to be renewed as they're waiting for CRP approval. And we have some other projects out there wandering around. So based upon when people get their items in and the schedule of the planning board members, the meeting will either be the last week of May or the first week of June to meet all those requirements. The recycling committee meeting was scheduled for tomorrow. However, everybody has ended up with appointments and meetings, including myself, so we're going to push that back near the end of May. And for recreation and parks, Ben Hall is on Zoom in case he has anything he'd like to say regarding the Parks and Recreation Committee meetings.
Ben Hall, Zoom, nothing to add, just here in case any questions pop up. parks anytime this spring. You'll see them full. And Howie, you had mentioned about not knowing some tournaments were happening last year. We have a full home schedule drafted up to share with the town office and post around town. So if folks want to come right out on a Saturday and catch a ball game and a hot dog, we hope to get that plastered out there. So.
Thank you, Ben. Anything else happening?
I'll go on to the town manager
Yeah,
report
please do.
very quickly. There's a very small town manager's report. I had a few minutes at the end of the day from all of the deadlines that were going on. And I did a bullets.
Look at that. Isn't that the best one you've ever seen? One page. That's awesome.
What you want, it is so fast. I'm just used to writing on the grants, and you have to write quite a bit. So basically, the first item I'll mention very quickly, the 2022 paving, the paving contractor did finish the repair work on the country roads that the public works director had verified and signed off, and a check was prepared for this evening to make final payment. Councilor Donahue has mentioned that there is a seam in the wet road that needs to be repaired, so that's something we'll have Donnie check out. 2023 airport capital planning. We usually have one engineer from the Hoyle Tanner Group at our planning session for our meeting with Maine DOT. This time we have 4 engineers. So the meeting with Maine DOT is this week, so this was interesting, very interesting. I met with Chimbro's new Chief Information Officer, called the CIO. He came down and looked at the council chambers. He's very nice. He's been here for a few months, but he's been running all around the country here. So he had a few moments and dropped by. So he's going to give us some ideas on how to address a concrete meeting room for speakers, microphones, camera, and computer setup. So that'll be really good. I bought quite a few things that people have suggested, and they haven't worked in this room, but they're working really good upstairs. So we have high quality gear upstairs. So now we got to get something that works in this particular room. Airport grants, working on the FAA reimbursement number 8 for the airport taxiway and hangar grants. We're going to submit these a lot quicker than we usually do because this is a very large project, and once it starts up and gets going, we'll need to get our reimbursements every month. Airport access road, the engineer contractors and others had a meeting about the road, which definitely will be repaired once they're done using it as the access road, which is a requirement of the paperwork that was filed for the grant and for the ability to go on to the airport. But they also seem to be using it much better and paying attention, so that's good. Al Tempester's been here for 2 Fridays. Many people have been pleased, lots of good comments again. And we've targeted 3 code enforcement issues, which we've mentioned at meetings, and we have a plan for them. And it's interesting how excited people get when you show up at their property. But these 3 need to be addressed. Financial system, water and sewer billing. We finished on books 5 and 6, and we're working on books 1 and 2. And for the first time since all the revisions that Trio made, the automatic readings really downloaded well. So that's a good sign. We're hoping it continues. Library director first interviews. Those will be held by Zoom on May 25th and 27th. We had a lot of applications, quite a few, but we'll whittle those down. Second interviews will be in person with assistance from the library trustees. Insurance program package needs to be a priority for our commercial insurance program. We've heard that the pricing's going up all around, so we've got to get a lot of information together to show that our pricing shouldn't go up. So this will be interesting. And for the next meeting, we'll hopefully have the purchase of the SERPA for the watch guard system for the security of the police force as well as everyone else. It is a very complicated project that is moving forward under the direction of the new police chief. Thank you.
All right, Catherine, thank you very much for that. Excuse me, folks. So let's move on to number 6, old business. There's none to address this evening. Number 7, new business. And let's start with resolution 23-39, please, Catherine.
Resolution 23-39, Resolved that the town council waive the bid policy, chapter 2, administrative code, section 106, regulations of bids and contracts, and authorize the town manager and recreation director to expend $13,012.66 for football equipment and uniforms from Rydell All-American Sports of Dallas, Texas, and Topsom, Maine.
I look for a motion from the council, please.
I move we open discussion on resolution 23-39.
Second.
Moved in second. Thank you, gentlemen. So before we get into discussion of questions, just for everyone's information, we have Mr. Ben Hall on the line with us. I'm sure he'll be happy to field any questions or comments. Ben, is there anything you'd like to bring up before we open for discussion? Anything that you want to address?
Yeah, sure. I figured just a real quick synopsis of background here. Our football equipment for our rec football has expired. It has a 10-year life, but we only have just a little over a dozen helmets or so that haven't expired, and those haven't been able to go through a recertification cycle. So we don't have football helmets, and we didn't have nearly enough jerseys last year for all the kids, so we had pennies on kids and stuff. And this was a part of the big fundraising move we did last year. So I don't know if you guys recall the big fundraising push for banners. Football equipment replacement was a big component of marketing as part of that fundraiser. So this is just a follow through on those funds that we raised, and then we paid fully out of those fundraising funds. So this will get our kids in new, safe, certified helmets, as well as everybody's in a quality uniform and looking good, looking professional and safe. And again, fully out of the fundraising funds. And we're waiving it, I did go out to Stadium Systems, Rydell, as well as White Sporting Goods, who are the typical suppliers to all the schools in the area. And I did talk to them and reviewed all the helmet options available, which are many. And the helmet we chose was $4 per unit above the very lowest costing helmet there was. It's still a serviceable helmet, but we try to be very responsible with what helmet we selected, knowing that the cost, obviously when you put 60 helmets out there, it's going to be pretty hard. So that's kind of the background.
All right. So Ben, if you're all set for the moment, I will open for audience questions or comments. Very well. I will close to audience input. Let's go to the council. Any questions or comments on this council? Yes, Doc, please.
Ben, this is Howie Marbolski. I don't know if you can see us or not. But obviously, Rydell is a good company, and I assume that's why you went with them, as well as the fact that they supply everything for the local schools. The helmets that you got, the equipment, even though it's relatively low cost compared to some of the others, is it still serviceable for 10 years?
Yes, it has the same 10-year life cycle. All helmets need to go out for recertification every year, and that's not just football helmets. That's hockey helmets. That's I believe even softball, baseball helmets need to go out for recertification. So we'll plan for that. But these have the same 10-year life. Yes.
Okay.
And though they are, kind of a budget line helmet for the age group, and that they provide a good quality. They have air inflation points at 5 locations, so you'll protect the back of the head, the top of the head, around the cheekbones. So you'll have a good step fit that grip the children's. They won't be rattling around in the back there.
Okay. Of the $13,000 that you're expending here, was that all fundraised?
Yes.
Okay.
All from last year's fundraising campaign.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And that won't expunge those funds, but we have some cap for some other projects related to the parks and stuff coming up that we talked about previously, in particular the lighting packs and stuff like that. So there will still be some money left to take care of some of those other projects.
Great. Thank you.
All set up?
Yep.
All right, Eric, you had something you want to?
Yeah, Ben, it's Eric. Hey, more for my education than anything. On these helmets, I mean, if you spent $60 more per helmet, is it just frills, or is it you get more safety out of that helmet? Do they rate these on a safety scale, or either it passes or it doesn't? Can you educate me a little on that?
Yeah, so there are different studies done on different helmet designs and different, and I've been way down rabbit holes educating myself on this stuff.
Yep.
And you get different results depending on if it's, Virginia Tech did a study on helmets and the different lines of helmets, and there are studies from different, medical institutes. And it's a good quality stage helmet. If you wanted to go from $117 a helmet to $275 a helmet, there's a few features that might add a little bit of safety. But talking to the providers and stuff, at this level, at this age, the speeds aren't fast enough and the collisions aren't so great that you have as much risk as you would say at the college level. So taking all that into consideration and what other groups are buying, we didn't think it justified going from 1,800 to 18,000 plus to a higher helmet that we weren't sure really brought that much additional safety, right?
Okay.
So these are still rated very quality helmet.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess that's what I have for that.
Yep. Thank you.
Anyone else, council? Just one comment, Ben. I think it's exceptional and well done that this comes out of fundraising. So excellent work with that, Ben.
Thanks. The team works hard.
Yep, you certainly did. So Ben, anything else you want to bring up? I'm going to go to a vote now if you're all set.
All good, Mike. Thank you.
All right, council, let's go to vote on this, please. All those in favor of resolution 23-39, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 23-39 passes. Ben, thank you for your time. You're more than welcome to stay on.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, Captain, let's move on to resolution 23-40, please.
Resolution 23-40. Resolved that the town council authorize the town manager and fire chief to sell the surplus equipment of the fire department through an auction/bidding/sales service, and the revenue received will go into the revenue budget fire department account unless it exceeds $1,000, at which point all funds will be transferred to the fire department equipment reserve.
I'll look for a motion by the council, please.
Move we open discussion on resolution 23-40.
Second.
Move in second. Thank you, gentlemen. Any questions or comments from anyone in the audience? We have the listing from Bernard as of May 10th. Number of pieces of equipment in items. No one in the audience? Very well. I shall close the audience input. Council, any questions or comments on this?
Is this all stuff that the fire department has used over the years and just doesn't see as serviceable anymore and just need to clean?
For various reasons, either out of spec or not, can't be calibrated or can't be used or for other purposes, whatnot.
Are there anything here that we shouldn't sell for insurance reasons or liability reasons or?
That's why it would go through a separate company. There is liability if, for example, we gave some of this to another fire department. A lot of the items have holes or aren't, that can be fixed, but still is out of date and could have issues. So if you
we gave that stuff to a different fire department?
if we did,
If we did.
if we did, there could be liability. Now, some of these things, a few of them have come from other fire departments and been donated, or Bernard has collected them up because he's a collector. And so everything that is not needed, that has expired, would cost a lot to get fixed, non-serviceable. There's probably some things that are repairable or serviceable, but we've got new equipment. So this would go to a company so that we would not have the liability of giving it to somebody and then something goes wrong or somebody buying it off us.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So these items can be recertified as far as,
Donnie would have to help me with this. Some things might be able to, I think most can't.
okay, the
Some
tanks
of this
cannot be
is- Some of
recertified
this is old.
beyond 15 years, is that what I remember?
FCBA's could be
Okay.
put into service or used.
Okay,
Used company, they would get liability, recertify it. The tanks,
Okay.
the tanks are no good, they're gone after 15 years, you gotta drill holes in them, throw them away.
Okay.
Basically. Anything, gear, turn on gear after 15 years of service or life, again, that's a liability thing with hydrogen cyanide and everything penetrating them, you're better off just actually destroying that stuff. Same with a safety harness. You don't take a safety harness, put it out to bid. Somebody uses that in a deer stand and the thing fails. We got personal liability on it. So a life safety piece of equipment basically should be destroyed. It shouldn't even be thought about selling. And I don't know what he's got for sale, but like fittings, stuff like that, other departments would use them. But
Right.
there
As
are
far as
some
the
things that
bottles.
don't. We've updated our hydrants. There's probably fittings and stuff that don't fit our hydrants anymore here, but they may in a smaller community. And I know that new, some of that stuff is adapters and stuff like that are going for thousands of dollars new, so people are looking for used ones.
but you answered my question, because that's exactly my concern, because, there's a market for any used tank, but how do you know what that purpose is gonna be once it leaves your hand? And I don't know if I'd wanna sell that.
No, them should be destroyed.
That's what, in my industry, we poke holes in the bottom so it can't hold water, can't hold air, and then it goes in.
Cut them in half and you get 2 planters.
That's right.
Well, the old metal ones, Timmy McCaffrey used to take them and actually cut them and make wind chimes out of them. Beautiful, beautiful work. We did make them.
We'll probably get more money that way though.
Yeah, for the crafting, I guess, or whatever, yeah.
You got time this weekend to do that? Sorry. I did that for humor only. So, a couple questions I have. I see a couple of things that aren't on here. When I was down there recently, there was a big pile of turnout gear in one of the storage areas, part of the original building. Big pile of it. What about those? What are those? Are those any good?
I think that them are being destroyed. I think them are being thrown.
Okay.
I don't think that's something, again, you don't want personal liability. with.
No, I got you.
I think they're making their way to my facility now.
Yes, there's a huge amount that's
Okay.
headed your way.
Yes. The other thing would be, and I haven't seen it on this list, is that antique fire truck we have down there. I don't see the benefit of having that in the town any longer. I think we could use a room. I could probably use the money that it's worth. I don't even know the last parade that thing was in.
So that could be a separate agenda
Yeah,
item.
I think we ought to consider that.
I looked at the company he mentioned and I didn't see, it was mostly all gear and smaller items. But there's
Yeah.
a couple of other companies too. We can look around.
Yep. I mean, yeah, that would probably be dealt with differently than this. So none of these would, if we sell or give away, would hurt the department's functioning.
Oh, no.
Okay. All right.
Not at all.
No, and I understood that. I just want to make absolutely certain. Council, yeah.
Are we supposed to be selling the breathing apparatuses and like it sounded like we should be destroying them?
I think
Is that right?
I guess destroy it.
Well, are you talking about the mass and the regulators as compared to the tanks themselves?
Right, the tanks need to be destroyed. It's a DOT standard after 15, FPA and DOT. After 15 years, you'll be destroyed because they're a pressure vessel. So you don't want to be putting somebody else putting 4,500 pounds.
Well, you got 4,500 PSI bottles that are expired, 32 of them on this list to be sold.
Them should be destroyed.
And the 6 below that.
Six
too.
below that. What are we
and
doing?
The mass and the actual apparatus themselves, there are companies out there that buy those and refurbish those and sell those to less fortunate departments.
I would say if it should be destroyed, we shouldn't even put it up to auction. You know, is there anything to do not to have someone else reuse them?
Yeah, the tanks we can take right off this list.
Right. The breathing apparatus, I think there's some out in Colorado, there's one there, and there's one in Connecticut. We have to take those, the breathing apparatus, the regulator, and the mask, and resell them to less fortunate departments. They recertify and rebuild them if they need to. I've got some in Detroit that, I've got some old ones that are 30 years old. It's just a bottle that expires. As long as you keep them serviceable and keep them maintained, they'll last a while.
Jason, go ahead.
Why are these bottles even on this list to begin with?
They shouldn't be. They shouldn't be.
Because this is the list that Bernard came up with.
Well, don't give us a list of junk we can't sell or shouldn't sell, because it's that's just ridiculous.
It would fall back on us.
Yeah, well, why are you presenting it to us?
Well, it says items may be serviceable, non-serviceable, repairable, or parts.
But
It's
it's
not
like a
serviceable.
liability.
Yeah.
Like,
You could still sell it for scrap. But.
Right.
not-
I mean, you could, as Donnie said, you could make it not usable by drilling a hole in it
Yeah.
and sell that. I mean, because you have a great idea, wind chimes. I wouldn't mind having one cut in half and making a couple wind chimes.
$50.
as long as it's clear that
That's for half the whole thing.
I promise, Mr. Mayor, I'll never reinstate this bottle. I won't find some way to make a, no. I mean,
Well, they're fiberglass.
Yeah, so
understood.
And they have to have a certification. They can't be put in service unless they have a current
So should we just make
calibration.
sure, we just make sure they have holes drilled in them before we leave them on the list, but then just make sure they don't.
Honestly, I say just get the tanks,
Take 'em
destroy them, get them off. Just get rid of them.
Yep, amend it. And,
Yeah, just get rid of them.
So we,
But
It's likely the company wouldn't even take them, but
sure.
that's
I mean,
something we
they
can check
may,
into.
they may take
for
the
each of
valves
the
off of them,
items.
depending on the valves on bottles, but there's tens of thousands of those out there in the market. So they're not going to take an old used valve and put it on a new bottle. So I would say destroying it is the best method.
Yep.
so can this be amended before we vote on it?
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
It
let's,
may be when we contact the company, they'll want other things taken off.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's like pretty much.
so what, actually what the resolution says, to authorize town manager, fire chief to sell surplus equipment to the fire department through, I guess the unwritten thing is there, if it's proper stuff to sell, if it can be sold, if it can be auctioned, or if it can be given away. I mean, we know that the tanks can. I mean, we could leave it as such. I mean, we're voting on the resolution, not necessarily this list. This is a list that Bernard, I mean, this is first shot at, the first walkthrough. I'm sure there's going to be other things that, like the tanks coming off this list, we may buy more stuff to put on there. I mean, is it necessary?
No,
To amend it?
I'll monitor this. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the resolution's generic enough.
Yeah, it's not when it's listed out. I mean, if this was a generic item of, items to be sold, I don't.
Right, but the resolution is for equipment and items from the fire department. This is the list that Bernard had done. We're not voting on this list. Otherwise, if we were voting on this list, we'd start marking these off. Perfect. You all satisfied with that?
Yep.
You okay? Okay.
I,
Good.
I'm good.
Just make me nervous when you give in too easy. Anything else, council? All right, very well. Hearing none, I sense ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 23-40, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay.
Nay.
Ayes. Nay?
Nay.
Okay, very well. So I will petition the council. Let's start with Deputy Mayor Margolski.
Aye.
Aye. Councilor Frost? Aye. Aye. Councilor Jester?
Nay.
Nay. Councilor Donahue?
Aye.
Aye. Councilor Saucier? Aye. Aye. Councilor Hall?
Aye.
Aye. And I shall vote aye. That is a vote of 6-1. The resolution passes. So let's move on to resolution 23-41, please, Catherine.
Resolution 23-41, resolved that the town council approves the request for proposals for the 2023 road paving program and authorize the town manager and public works director to seek proposals for same and issue an addendum if necessary.
Look for a motion from the council, please.
Move we open discussion on resolution 23-41.
Good.
Moved and second, thank you very much. So this may require a little bit of introduction. Catherine, do you want to provide some details?
Certainly, I
Okay,
can
if you would,
quickly do
please.
that,
Yes,
and
yes.
Donnie can give specifics.
Right,
This
thank
is
you.
the town's request for proposals or invitation for bids for a road paving program. And so to get this going, we have a short period of time for the bids to come in, but this is the main period of time that you would get bids, so we want to make sure that we're in no competition here. So you have $1 million that was approved from the capital improvement plan, and that has gone through the ordinance, which will be effective on June 1st, in which we have requests for proposals out for a loan or a bond to the different financial institutions. And so we made a couple of changes in the bid specs. We made it very clear that there would be no paving after a certain date, no matter what, so we don't run into something I've never seen before, but everything is different after COVID. So rather than follow the state specs on when you can pave until we put into the bid specs and will be in the contract that they will stop paving as of September 15, 2023. We also increased the fine per day for being late, and usually with the amount that we have in there, I hope it doesn't bother a smaller company to bid on this, but we did run into issues with a couple of companies over the last 20 years, and so sometimes you do have to have that language in there. Now, in terms of the roads to be paved, we've sped things up so that we can get some of the roads that need to be paved to save them, and the roads that would be in good condition once ground or have shim. And so the roads are put in specific locations so that helps with the bid price. Donnie introduced, and I don't like this, but I think it is doable and it will get the roads paved, is the light capital paving. So that's 5/8 inch. So the roads that are in pretty good condition that could be saved, instead of doing full scale grinding or doing a shim and overlay, we'll do the light capital paving so we can get more done. Because at a certain point, you're going to run out of your money exactly where I thought you would, that you have in the Pittsfield Futures Fund. It will run out in 7 years from when we began. But at that time, you may have other funding that comes available. But every so often, the council skips a year for getting a loan, and so this will help us move forward. So Donnie can give you some background on the roads. We're still working with Annalise at all our associates. She's been extremely busy and a little bit ill, so a little bit behind on getting the sewer work done to make sure the roads are going to be in good shape. But we picked out ones, with the exception of a couple, that we're not totally sure of. But the list is a good list so that, and the language is clear, and this is very typical that the roads change once the contract is let to a certain company. Roads can be added or subtracted. That's pretty common, and it happens everywhere, and it has happened in the past for us. So if we find a couple of these roads should not be paid because there's a sewer issue on one of them probably, it'll just be dropped off. And there's plenty of other roads. Thank you. Donnie, did you want to do specific?
Yeah, I mean, we did have a meeting with Annalise, and some of the issues that I've had with our paving program in the past was the coordination between water, sewer, what was going on with the DOT and everybody else. And nothing's worse than seeing you spend money on paving and then 2 months later have somebody come start digging it up and say they had a project plan 2 years earlier. So trying to do a little bit better coordination. So one of the things was, as a target area, was to make sure to look at the conditions of the street, what's under them, and what the possibility was of having to do more work and not paving. And one of the things that's always difficult is, like, I hear it every day, Lancey Street, where the school is. We've obviously got a few sewer issues there, a few water issues, and I don't think at this point in time, spending $30,000 or $50,000 on just doing an overlay to make things go smoothly for a year and a half, and be back in the same condition as well-spent money. So I took a list and tried to narrow them down based on what do they got for good infrastructure underneath, what do they have for drainage, what do they have for catch basins and stuff that are in good shape, so we're not going back in 2 years and digging the asphalt back up. So we did a list, we went through them, we narrowed them down to a bunch of the streets that you see. I mean, Dodson Street is in pretty good shape. I also, we talked about doing anything that we're milling that we should be doing 1.5 inches, and there's some that we're just going to be doing the finish coat out in West Pittsfield. We're 1 inch, and using the 9.5 millimeter instead of using the 12.5. One of the reasons is we put a 2.5 inch base down and that 9.5. If we went with 12.5, you're taking a 3/4 inch stone and you're going to see drag marks all through your pavement. So one of the issues we want to do is keep our aggregate small, and doing that will allow the watershed, so we'll keep that water out of that base coat. We spent a lot of money. We did 8 miles of road. So doing a little bit finer finish coat, doing 1 inch, I think will do those country roads real well. That light capital paving, or back in the day they called it skinny mix on some of the roads. The reason why I think we need to do that, we had a couple of streets, like Mill Street's got some pretty good infrastructure under it. It's a short dead-end street. Would it behoove us to grind that down, put 1.5 inches of finish coat on a road that sees 2 cars a day versus some of these roads out here that see, 2,500 cars a day? So we took kind of took in that little bit of a traffic study and seeing where the actual heavily traveled roads were. Another one that I threw in there was Waverly Street. With this new Main Street thing, I've talked to DOT, we're getting a barrage of calls about Madawaska. I think that they're getting to the point where they're getting a little sick and tired of 300 people calling a day. So it looks like that they may be doing that Madawaska next spring, ahead of the Main Street project. So we did half of it to the bridge on the other end, so we got some pretty decent infrastructure to try and do that. Trying to do neighborhoods that need it. Harriet Street's another one that's got some pretty good infrastructure under it. We can save it now. We can do that one is in good shape. We can use that light capital pavement over the top of it. It's got good infrastructure underneath. It's got a decent, and with a little bit of shim to get our 4-degree grade that we need on the roads for the watershed, I think will be good. Obviously, Manson Street. We talked about Library Street. It's probably a pretty bad street, but we also have some issues there that are under the ground. We need to make sure that we take care of those first. So Manson and Liberty Grind, obviously Manson Street with Headmaster up the road. We just had a new sewer put in. That little short street, it's a lot cheaper to do right now. Let's get it done before the mix goes up over $150 a ton. Livingston Street also has been dug up. There's been a lot of water work done on that in the last 4 or 5 years. It's got good infrastructure. There's another one that's got not too bad of a surface on it. I think that we can do that light capital paving on. The Berry Road, last year we had cut that from just at the start of the Berry Road to the web for the grinding. Again, that one there with a shim. If we catch it now, I think that light capital paving will save us some money so we can do some other things. And doing all the other ones, one of the things that I did add on there, I did some totals. I'm trying to figure out what the price of mix. Sebastopol Street's another one. We thought that there may have been some problems there with water and sewer. That looks like that's all ductile iron. That's got all PVC in the ground and sewer, so that looks good. So this is an opportunity to grind that one and get that one taken care of. Another one, the Dogtown Road from 8100. We're planning on doing ditching in the summer there. Take care of them drainage issues. There's another one we could do some light capital paving on rather than doing a full depth grind. So we've got plenty of other ones there that we can do. I mean, right now, if I figured out roughly, it's about $880,000 getting 16 streets taken care of. That leaves us some money for some ditching, drainage, and culverts. And again, we're going to try to maximize my operational budget to take the culverts and the ditching out rather than trying to take it out of the $1 million if we can. And if we can get more, it would be great. One of the other issues I got in there too is with the shim. We've done the 2 lanes of culvert. We've got one culvert to replace. We've got a little interim spot there that would allow us to do a shim and a capital pave in between them two spots and take care of the problem. So there's an opportunity here to get a bunch of them done. Again, I don't know what the future holds and what the council's looking at, but we've borrowed a couple $1 million in the past 2 years. So trying to maximize and get the most done. Are we going to continue the borrowing with the economic condition? Who knows? But obviously, we're trying to maximize your dollars here. So if you guys got any questions, I know there's other streets. I know up in Forest Park up there, some of them streets are bad, but the infrastructure is bad too. So we need to get the infrastructure taken care of before we start wasting money on paving.
Donnie, quick question. Between your list, A locations, B locations, look like the A locations require significant work, and then paving. Is that how you separated the two?
Yeah, basically, yeah, because there's some.
Because the B list is just basic paving, because I'm looking at the roads and I'm
Yeah.
not thinking a whole lot of raised manholes or anything like that. You
Right.
deal with.
Yeah. So it's, again, and obviously everybody pays taxes and you're sympathetic with some of the areas, but there are some places that are probably could use some paving a little bit more, but at this point, for borrowing a couple $1 million over the last 2 years, that's a lot of money. And that's a lot of opportunity for us to do a lot. And with a new public works crew that got a new foreman that's got some really good knowledge in getting some of the ditching done. We're going to do another, 2.5, 3 miles of ditching this year. We've got another 22 culverts to put in. We're making progress. We're making progress faster in the last couple of years than we have in the last decade. So we're trying to get the infrastructure done first, and then let's lay the pavement down and have it last the 15, 20, 25 years that it needs to last. So.
Anyone in the audience have any questions or comments? Yes.
Madawaska's bad there at that beginning. I got bottom out a couple times. I go down. I take that way to work, and it would be nice to see that get taken care of.
And unfortunately, that's a state road. That portion's a state road, but all I can tell you is call a state garage or call Bangor and make a complaint. That's what I've had them doing. And I just talked to one of the engineers the other day, and he's getting a lot of calls. The more calls, the more pressure they get. The things seem to speed up a little bit faster. I know it is rough. I go out that way every day.
Yeah,
I got to have fun pickup, and it doesn't.
Go lane left when I'm heading toward Palmyra.
Yeah.
Anyone else in the audience? All right, very well. Council, any questions or comments? Yes, Doc.
Donnie, it looks like, for the work that you're doing, you're going to be putting in a lot more culverts than just paving roads. How are you handling the roads that you're putting culverts in, crossing the roads, for the future? In other words, where you're doing culverts but not paving, how is that translating into, paving this year, next year, or whenever?
The only things that what we're trying to do is coordinate the culverts with the paving. There are some that are bad that have been around. We've known it for a while. And that's what's obviously led to us wanting to choose some of those areas to do the paving.
Okay.
There's a number of culverts that are failing. But now, as far as we're trying to get those caught up for that paving. But the next phase is obviously we're still going to have some here and there that are going to fail. We're still going to have to piecemeal here and there. The hopes is to cut that out, to try to get ahead of the ball. If you don't have culverts, you don't have drainage, you shouldn't be paving. And that's one of the things that where a lot of towns fail is that they keep putting that skinny mix, so that light capital pavement every 5 years they're putting it down. The water's not running off the road. Case example is the binder that we put on all of our country roads, and one of the decisions is it's going to cost you almost $500,000 to surface those roads. We did that out on the Snake Root Road. You go out there today and look at it 3 years later without putting a surface coat, water was allowed to permeate, the drainage wasn't right, and what you just spent, that $85,000 on that section of road, you would have been better off using it just to ditch into your culverts with and come up with a capital paving plan at some point.
At some point in the future.
Yeah, so there's a lot of coordination, and it's tough. And I tell people that call, if you're in the area and you see one of the biggest things that destroys the road is water. Water and ice. And if you've got a problem with drainage, call. We got a number at the garage. Leave a message. If you don't talk to somebody, leave a message. Hey, listen, when it rains heavy, I mean, look at your neighborhood over there now.
Yeah.
We've done from all the way from the railroad tracks, June Court, got up there and cleaned up, dumped some ditch and cleaned things out.
Made a difference.
And that neighborhood this year, I've heard a lot of people say, geez, it didn't flood. I didn't have water to my front step. What happened? Well, we got to maintain the infrastructure. Again, we've got a couple of culverts over there that we're going to have to do. But
Yeah.
that's going to fit in that paving plan at some point. Once we've got those all replaced, that's going to be a priority on the next paving plan.
Excellent. All right, thank you.
Craig? So last year we did, well, I'm looking at the A and B list, and the B list seems to be primarily covering roads that, or at least the first 3 or 4, that had a binder layer put on last year.
Yes. All
So-
of those ones fit through.
Yep, so I'm looking at, because it says, I'm assuming anything that says surface coat is the ones covering the binder layer, correct?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we got Webb, 1-3 Beans Corner Road, Spring Road, Powers Road. So what is the potential liability to the town if we don't put a surface coat on those this year? Are we having any issues already? I know. Heather brought up the fact that there's a seam on part of the web road already. So, what liability are we looking at, and are we putting ourselves in a position where we've thrown some good money away if we don't cover these roads this year?
Well, if you got about 3 years. You got about 3 years for that because again, when you got binder, you got that bigger stone in there. The water's going to permeate
Right.
through. In 3 to 4 years, you're going to see a catastrophic result. You're going to see the pavement cracking. You're going to see it cleaving, and that's basically why we do that surface coat.
Right.
Is to keep all of that water out. Again, making sure that we have a good 4-degree slope on our roads. Make sure that we got ditches that the water can run into.
Yeah.
Make sure that we have culverts that water can run through as well. So yeah, if you want to throw your money away, that's the easiest way to do it. I know a lot of places, a lot of towns are putting binder coats on their dirt roads,
Yep.
and that works well for some of the smaller towns because of the traffic. Again,
Sure.
you got to look at where your traffic is and which. I'll be honest with you, Beans Corner Road. That's ever since we've paved that out there with a binder. That is. I've been out there, that's a go-through for every big piece of equipment and forestry equipment and log truck that I've ever seen coming up and down that road. That's not helping. It's the same way with the web road. You've got people running that over that binder, you're going to get seams.
And I've started to see that on the Beans Corner Road. That's why I was
Get them
asking.
seams. And some of that stuff, like that one that Heather's talking about, some of it is because of traffic
Yep.
and the sheer weight of that traffic.
And a warm winter, and a lot of moisture, and it never froze.
Different winters. We're having
And-
different winters.
Right. So that's what I'm afraid of is if we start going and I apologize to anybody who lives on these streets, but a lot of these that I'm looking at, like Dobson Mill, there's not a significant amount of traffic that travels those. And when they do, the speed is greatly reduced versus some of these other roads that we're looking at. So, like, I understand why you did it, and I follow your logic on that 100%. I question if we should look at protecting our investment from last year and kind of looking at making sure these are surface coated and repaired. I can tell you the other thing, and I know this is a little off topic, but I don't know if you've noticed down Beans Corner Road when we went down there, there is an extraordinary amount of asphalt thrown in every yard all the way down that road. I have never seen anything like that after a paving
Well,
project.
and that was from the milling process.
Yeah.
And what has happened is I've got a few complaints from a few concerned people on the road, saying that the road was 3 feet narrower. Whoever designed the road and the edges of the road are all broken up,
Right.
and they're all thrown all over everybody's lawn.
Yep.
And so I went out and I had looked at it very carefully, almost got ran over 12 times, because people are doing 75, 80. That road looks a lot narrower. The road is 20 feet,
The darker black makes it look narrower for whatever reason. I noticed that too, but
and one of the issues is, I said, well, people are coming head on to one another. Well, when you got a 20-foot road, it's not 21 feet wide, it's a 20-foot road that's posted at 45 and they're going 75. I will tell you, the perception of you being real close to a head-on collision is really good. And a lot of those vehicles, the millings where we milled the road were on the very edge of the shoulder, so they're getting over the shoulder at 60, 70 miles an hour, and they're blasting all of those millings out on people's lawn. Granted, some of it was from plowing.
oh yeah, I'm
So
sure.
from the plowing with the soft, when we had the spring storms, the shoulder was a little soft, but there's not much you can do about it. A lot of people just assumed that was the pavement breaking all apart, and that was not the pavement.
No, I think at least the ones that I've talked to out there, they've said that it's they knew that it was from the grinding process and the milling process, and that's where it came from. But they were kind of astonished that the company left it there. Now you guys had nothing to do with you.
No,
It
and no,
was-
the company didn't leave it there. It was all on the shoulder last fall. This was from this spring.
Okay.
I got a lot of complaints, so they're running over it with their lawnmowers, and I said, well, a lot of it's from the traffic riding the shoulders and obviously
Gotcha.
the plow.
Gotcha.
And they have to plow the road, so again, you don't want to assign blame to
No.
anybody like that.
No.
You know,
I got you.
one of the issues that I've had too is I've got a bunch of calls that I've had to refer to the PD. I've had people on Spring Road complaining, oh my God, the traffic across here, and it's going 60, 70 miles an hour. Well, that's the price of progress. They got a paved road, and it's a cut across from 152. People coming from Palmyra, Heartland, or that way.
Right.
They just cut over to the interstate or cutting over to the plaza up here to do their grocery shopping. You wouldn't see those speeds if the road was the way it was before. People wouldn't take that road because it wasn't such bad shape.
Yeah, it was a go path.
Yeah.
Go
And
path.
now, unfortunately, that's the price of progress.
Anything else, Craig?
No, that's it. I just that's my 2 cents on it. I think we need to protect our investment from last year.
Any other, Counselor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last inventory report I had was March 1st, 2022, on the status of pipes and sewer lines and water lines. Do you have something that's more up to date than what I've got, or what we have?
All that I got was verbal from Annalise and what she could find for actual blueprints, and that's one of those things.
Is there something more up to date than what you had given us last year, roughly this time?
It will be once the sewer is looked at on several roads.
Okay,
But
so
right now, that's the most up to date.
all right. So based on the most up to date, Dobson, yeah, I would agree with. Although it says the water has leaked on that road. Mill Street, you have unknown sewer. You got Waverly with water that's from Fourth Street to Madawaska Ave is poor, has leaked, and the sewer is unknown. Harriet Street's good. Manson Street, you got unknown sewer. Libby Street, you got unknown sewer. Livingston Street, you have poor water, and it has leaked unless you've repaired it.
Yeah, there's a lot of those that have already been repaired, like the Manson Street, when we did.
Like I said, a lot. This is only a year ago, so.
Yeah, they've opened the road since, like with Manson Street, where they had.
Well, I know that's one example, but that's not, all of them.
Waverly was done, right?
Yes, Waverly was done.
I know Waverly was addressed because that was open for a number of
Madawaska was
months.
just done, the last one on Madawaska was done.
Sebastian Street is unknown sewer. There's a lot of these streets that are either unknown of one or the other, or you got some poor, water or sewer by themselves. So unless you're operating on something that's more up to date than what we were given, I question some of these roads and why they were picked as far as,
So,
I'll pick on Mill Street. Mill Street's a dead-end road. Most of those people park on the backside, which isn't even on Mill Street. It's a dead-end road. You have sewer that's unknown, and you're only going to go, I drove down it today. I drove all these roads today.
385 feet.
Yeah, I drove it's like a 1.5 lane road. I would doubt that it's 2. I just question like the necessity of, say, that road versus focusing on the Snake Root Road, which was never completely done, I don't think. I think it was,
Yeah, it's on the
right, bits and pieces, but
set.
there's a section of it that was never touched.
I believe that is.
So I just,
Well,
I don't know. I guess I would rather. I guess it all goes back to my point 2 years ago that we don't have a paving plan. Because if you had a paving plan, you would know these roads way ahead of time. You would tell Annalise that we need these sewer and water lines inspected so that we knew, okay, sewer's good, water's good, let's pave Manson Street. But right now we don't really know any of these. So if you look at, say, Livingston Street, I think, yeah, poor water, I guess the sewer's good. But
I think the poor water,
First.
what I was told by Annalise, the poor water is because it's got a small delivery line on that street. They're talking about they should have, I think it's got like a 3-inch main, it's supposed to have, they recommend having a 4-inch main on the street.
right, and so regardless of what it is, if it breaks again, you're digging up that road that you just paved. So I don't care if it's a half-inch line or a 6-inch line, like it doesn't really matter. You're still digging up brand new pavement. And one of the worst roads in town is probably Library Street. And for years we said, well, we're not going to pave that because we don't know the condition of the sewer. But then we turn around with and pave like 4 roads that we have no idea what the sewer's like. So,
I think library's fair condition, if I remember that report, which is actually not.
well, it's right here.
Yeah, it's not bad.
No, it says the water is poor and it has leaked, but we're doing Livingston Street, which is poor and has leaked. So why are you doing one and not the other?
So we did talk to Annalise, and she went into detail. You've got just, a few words there, but we need more details, and she has more details on some of these, but we need to write it down. But when it says it leaked, it meant it leaked sometime in the last 50 years, because there's some record going way back that it leaked, but not in the last 20 or 30 years.
So her professional opinion is, so she has looked at this lesson. She's okay. So she has no issues with us investing in paving these roads as they are, regardless of the list that Jason had, because we talked about that
That's
ad nauseum a year ago.
That's why they're there.
That's why you put them on there?
That's why
Annalise
they're there.
verified.
Yes, because like.
And she's good with them.
Yes.
So that obviously, I think that's more like a quick snapshot of everything.
Yes.
Exactly.
Because the idea, like I said, the water's poor. And the water's poor probably because the line's probably fine, but it's just small.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I was thinking, water, unknown sewer. It doesn't mean it's bad, it's just they don't know what's there.
They don't know whether
Okay,
it's
so
dry or if it's
honestly, if
PVC.
Annalise has looked at these that require these paving, and she's satisfied as the paid professional that we could do this with no,
Right.
other than anything that's out of the plan. which
There's a lot of roads, like I said, Lancey, she's gonna be cammering that. Lancey Street is bad. West Street, that's horrible.
Right.
And she's gonna be cammering that so we can get a better report. But she did give us, that day that we sat down, we went through list by list of anything she had for history on those streets, and this is how we picked those. And that's one of the things that you always got to ask yourself: Could a water break, could a ground shift and break a water pipe in the wintertime if we have a deep freeze? And then a quick thought: it could happen on any new paved roads, other than out in West Pittsfield. So the thing that we have for infrastructure out there is ditching and culverts. You don't have to worry about anything under the road. So. If you were to prioritize, you'd say, let's do everything in West Pittsfield that's the worst roads and get those done until we can catch up with the infrastructure. But you're going to take a chance, based on what Annalise gave us, and these list of roads is why they got chosen. It wasn't something random. If she had told me that there was clay tile pipe under one of these roads and it's in poor condition, I wouldn't be on it.
I'm not saying there were
But she did
Granted, necessarily, but
some of them she said that were poor. She did say that. She said they were PVC. So there was PVC piping around. That was one of my concerns going from the old clay tile sewer. Because you always take a chance with that compared to the new plastic. So anything that's been new in the last 35 to 40 years is plastic. So the chances of that deteriorating and breaking are a lot less than the clay tile.
And she's ranked those or put down the comments on the way they're taught to do them. So it doesn't have all the details that we would need, but that's how they're analyzed.
oh no, it's super helpful.
Yeah, and that's why I said the same thing with Mill Street. That was my thing, that you've got some streets that are in really good shape that have light traffic, and if you can do that light capital paving, let's not do it at a premium here. Let's not put $30,000. Another one that should be on the list is a pool road. And Karen Coffey last year said it was just to do that road alone would be $700,000 to $800,000. So that takes a big chunk out of $1 million. So.
Yeah.
But again, this is.
And I'm not trying to
No.
pick on you. It really goes back to the overall point that we need a paving plan that we do not have.
Or we could have supporting documentation for what they're, I mean, Annalise, if she signed off on it, she could have put that together and.
Yeah, it would have been helpful instead of me going through all this outdated stuff that didn't amount to anything.
So we are going to look at Sebasticook Street when we get the other areas video, so that we can prepare for the next year.
Well, Sebasticook's on this year.
It's listed here. But remember, we can change this list.
This is the bottom line.
No, I mean, I agree.
We're having a very detailed conversation for a resolution that's pretty open. I mean, we're just saying we want to get price on this.
Correct.
I think
Correct.
And we can make it.
Right, understood, but I think we're learning a lot. I mean, having that discussion, that information I brought up with Annalise buying off on it, because until that came up, I wasn't sure.
But I seem to remember last year we had this great big conversation, and then Dan Kitchen showed up, and we completely changed the entire plan and blew forward with it. So it's like we can spend 4 hours talking about the first plan, or just wait until let's get some traction on this thing, and we're gonna pave some roads, right? So.
Anything else, Council?
Just one question.
Yeah, go.
What are we paying per ton now? What do you estimate?
They give us a high estimate on the finished coat at 139. He talking with Ed, who they do Northeast Paving, has their own plant. He said it looks like it's going to be right around the $90 mark. So again, hopefully that's going to hold true.
Going from 139 to 90?
Well, he went high because we were putting a finish coat, which is a little bit more expensive. He went high to give us an estimate to surface those roads out in West Pittsfield, which just reminds me, Mount Road.
Yeah.
I think we forgot, I didn't see that on the list.
It's not on the list.
We did put binder on that too, didn't we?
Yep,
Yeah,
you did.
it wasn't on my list. I just,
So there goes your Mill Street, so it didn't matter.
Well, it is a fluid list.
for some reason there was a lot there talking about the
We'll
binder.
get some stuff done.
Yeah, and the binder is usually a little bit cheaper, the 12 and a half or the 19 is cheaper, so.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Anything else, Council? Jason, all set?
Oh, yeah.
Good. All good?
Yep.
All right, very well. Let's vote on Resolution 23-41. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 23-41 passes. Catherine, let's go through number 8 as expeditiously as we can, please.
Yes, you have a copy of all the department's reports available here, and for your reading pleasure. I don't have any further comments. It's pretty self-explanatory.
Okay, thank you very much. So before we go into executive session, I will go to reports, and I will start with the council, the audience. Anyone in the audience wishes to speak?
Jane Woodruff, District 3. I had a question. I'm hopeful that the public library will be getting a Maine Community Foundation grant I'm sure all of you are aware that it was submitted, yes? Do we need a review? Or perhaps for the audience? It's a grant that hopefully the library would be successful and would know June 1 whether they received it or not. And Harvey Pittsfield had been in support of it, which is why I'm here. And one sentence description of the proposal is to conduct a community needs assessment to gain a deeper understanding of our community, its strengths and areas for improvement as a foundation for future planning. And it would involve having a paid facilitator or consultant, and it was submitted for an amount of $10,000. Who knows whether we'll get it or not. The question I have is, should we get that and we're notified June 1, will there be a librarian in place, since they are the primary ones submitting a grant? So I'm looking at this process, and I think, Catherine, you had given a time frame of beginning interviews. Is that correct? On May 25th and 27th?
Correct.
Do you have any idea how many people are being interviewed in the state?
It depends on how many people decide they want to continue with the interview. We had a massive number of applications, but a lot of them were from out of state. So there looked to be 7 good candidates.
Okay, so 7 candidates potentially, and when this says Zoom, who is that with? Is that any kind of model like what was happening at NCI, where interviews were held by Zoom and there was a general public that could also see that?
All right, so the library trustees are going to help with the final interviews.
No, but my first question is, who is doing the first initial?
I will be doing the
Just
screening.
you?
Yes. We'll do it by Zoom.
So you're not getting any input from the chair of the trustees at the initial round? Is that correct?
Well, they can provide questions, but they asked to be involved in the final interviews.
No, I guess I'm just asking process questions to understand how this can move along and what kind of anticipated date there might be for a resolution of this. It puts the library in an understaffed position currently, and like I said, I don't know if we'll get the grant or not the grant, but it's going to be thrown to someone, stepping into the job, whatever. So I'm just trying to get an idea of expectations.
So if we do get the grant, we don't have to start it exactly on June 1st.
That's just notification.
Yeah, that's just notification. So we'll have the second interviews as soon as possible thereafter. We've had, I think, 34 deadlines this month. So we waited on the library director to get as many applications as we could, and we did get quite a few.
Well, like I said, the timing of it is kind of difficult, where we're going to be going into a summer season, but hopefully staff members might be able to get time off. And in terms of the hiring of any substitutes for those library positions, who does that?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear. Substitutes?
Substitute library staff.
All right, so we have a number of substitutes that were hired.
The numbers are dwindling. One of the main ones won't be available till September. The others are limited because a couple of them have full-time positions. There's not as large a pool as one might think. So my question is, who will be interviewing for those positions? Is that the new librarian, or, I'm just trying to look at a time
It'll
frame.
depend on the time frame. I'll talk with the assistant librarian.
Okay. Okay, well, I'm going to just kind of jump topics here. When you started mentioning some of the problems in the community and citizens and whom should they be contacting. Like some of them got pushed toward Dawn, and as an example, we have a fire hydrant on Heartland Avenue, Somerset Avenue, that's been plastic bagged for I don't know how long. And I'm wondering what kind of expectations we should have in terms of work getting done. And it's really not my role as a community citizen person to, where do we go? Where do we send these concerns? What is the mechanism?
So you're asking if somebody has a question about a water hydrant, where should they go?
Yeah.
They can contact the town office.
And whom in the town office would that be?
Any of us can answer questions about the water hydrant, and then we would refer it to Oliver Associates because that hydrant is on their list for repairs this spring, summer, as soon as the flushing's all done.
Okay, no, I guess part of it is I think there's probably a number of concerns that the community has, and I'm just wondering what effective mechanism there is for that to happen. And, it could be also maybe some compliments once in a while too, but I don't think it's clear to the community what the path should be to try to seek resolution on some of these things.
You can contact any counselor.
Counselor? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can contact me.
To get any affected, if it's taken, like we talked about the other day about that bench that needs to be repaired. I mean, if you can't get a hold of Donnie and his crew, just call the town office. They'll take messages and they'll get to it when they
Then
can.
they
I mean,
contact the-
it may be, they may not have seen it. Maybe they didn't. I don't know. But the council is just going to be a middleman. If you call me as a counselor, and I'm just going to call the town office and ask them to get it to the right person. So it's always best to call the town office.
Well, to be honest, there's been such turnover in the town office in recent years. It's hard to know, what gets transmitted and what does not. And typically, it's not appropriate for me to go to Donnie and say, you need to fix this bench.
No, it's not appropriate
Right.
to tell Donnie what he needs to do for his work, but yeah, you're a tax-paying citizen. You can bring it up to his attention and anyone else in town.
People call the
Absolutely.
Public Works Department every day. They call
Well,
Water
I know,
every
like,
day.
for example, this man is way overloaded with a double job of doing
I think we
maybe 2 or
understand
3
that.
or whatever, and it's like,
I'm sure he has a list of prioritizes.
his load, and is that not really some of Parks and Recreation Committee to be overseeing?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's not up to you to decide.
No,
No, it's not up to you if I can't bother Donnie, he's busy, maybe I should call Ben Hall, but no, who's going to do this because it's Parks and Rec? Call the town office, give him that message. Donnie has a list of things he has going, he prioritizes. I know he's very reactive. Him specifically, everyone else in town seems to be very reactive to what you need. So if there's any questions, just call the town
Well,
office.
I'm just suggesting that there ought to be some walkthrough in some of these spaces so that it's being seen and it's not, individual citizens having to call in complaints and concerns, that there's some ongoing maintenance or ongoing view of these spaces. Just on a regular basis.
I know all department heads should be doing their properties, and they should be doing a walk around. They should be doing a monthly. That's part of their
Well,
safety checks, and they're supposed to let
right.
people know if there's a cracked bench or
Yeah.
something missing, or there's a water leak somewhere, or we got a building, or down the wreck they got frozen pipes. You don't find out. There should be somebody opening those up in March and saying, "Well, we got cracked pipes," not waiting until we open the building in May and finding out we got issues and trying to expedite the process. So yeah, that's supposed to be a department.
Yeah, and where would be,
And all you have to do is, like they said, call a town office and identify what it is, and then they can direct it to whoever department is responsible. They can ask Catherine, and Catherine will delegate to the appropriate department.
well, perhaps there should be some kind of, I don't know if it's a form or some kind of easier way for people to know and understand that and do that, you know.
I am the safety director, and they all have monthly check sheets that they're supposed to be completing, doing a walk around of the properties, so.
Who's the walk around the Teflon?
It should be whoever the rec director is, that would be his responsibility. It's like
See,
water and
I've got
sewer.
about 3 different people that I've been told.
I know, and sometimes it does get
That's what I'm
confusing.
saying, it's not clear.
Again, you should address the town office, and Catherine should be able to delegate whoever is responsible. I know sometimes it's tough. Some people say, well, talk to Ben. Some people say, talk to Jake. But Jake is the rec director, and he should be getting it first, so he can delegate other people to do that.
Okay, well, I'm not sure that a lot of people know who's department head or what. I mean, that's the kind of information, there isn't any kind of sheet or information about who's responsible or whatever, so you don't even know who to come in to ask. And like I said, the kind of turnover I've seen in the past, I'm not sure the staff, the front office knows.
Catherine, you just give out a call sheet to everybody that has the head of each department and stuff.
We
Would
have
that-
all that
Could
information.
that be
yes.
available, just like?
And the staff does a very good job on this.
There is a contact list on the town website.
Our website is
People
full
don't
of
look at
information.
that website's very
Well,
difficult, but if you could
They need to
send
take it
that to
upon themselves
Facebook
to
or
do it.
something that people use on a more regular basis.
They know where it is.
I know where what is.
They know where it is. They know where the town website is, and they know the number of the town. That's the bottom line. If they don't know a particular department head, then you always call the town office, and whoever answers the phone will get the information out there.
I'm just making some suggestions.
Yep, understood. All right, thank you. Anyone else in the audience? Very well, I will close to audience participation, and I will start with Councilor Donahue, please.
I have no report.
No report. Councilor Saucier?
No report.
Councilor Hall?
No report.
Councilor Jester?
No report.
Councilor Frost? Deputy Mayor Margolski?
I have a couple of questions. With the Main Street project, Catherine, I understand there's the feasibility study as well as the fact that I and Jason and you met with the contracting and architect group a couple weeks ago. Is there a plan to dovetail these as far as the feasibility study as well as, and how is that going to proceed? Do you have any idea on that?
I thought about this a bit. They do need to dovetail, and I think that starting the feasibility study first, the downtown is a specific area,
Yes.
so that can mesh in too. And so once I get through these deadlines, at the end of next week, I'm going to be talking with our consultant on the Main Street project and seeing how we can fit this in so it works along and they can share information. I have all the information together on my list of assignments, so we have all that for the downtown project to start off.
And you've filed applications for the $1 million borrowing with
Yes.
the bond bank as well
Yes.
as several banks as
Yeah,
well?
there seems to be some interest, more interest than I thought there would be. I've already got some forms coming in I need to fill out, in addition to giving them all the information that we did. So there's considerable interest. I sent out, besides the ad, sent it out to 14 different banks that we used over the years, or know about. There's a few banks we've contacted each time we do this and they don't respond, but it's gone out as thoroughly as we can do.
Okay. I also have a question regarding bill payment and keeping up on the vendors that we use. I had an opportunity to talk to, actually it was a former patient of mine, but now helps take care of the cemeteries, and 2 of his 4 mowers are out of service at this point. It's related to me that he went to get a belt for one and a blade for another, and was unable to purchase them because of an unpaid bill that's over 90 days due. How are we keeping up on this, and how are we tracking this, Catherine?
So all the bills that we have are paid in a timely fashion, but if we don't get a bill and there's no purchase order, and it shows up like this, it can cause an issue. So there are two departments that have these issues. They've been identified and both of them have been talked to, and the other department did charge things to the usual location that the cemetery goes to and cause this ruckus. And so this is all being solved tomorrow.
Okay, all right, I will let this person know.
Yeah, and he was contacted by us. An issue that we have is that some of the departments will get bills and then they take them back to their office or their home and don't turn them in. And this can cause an issue.
Why would they get bills?
When they go to pick up the item, they're given what's called an invoice.
Yeah.
And the company looks at that as the bill, and then later on a statement shows up. You know, and we've said all bills have to come to the town office. And we've talked to several of the vendors, and some of them still do this.
I can see that happening.
Yeah, I
and
can too.
that's an issue.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, but we did take care of that.
Okay, thanks.
I know, that was shocking.
Yeah. All right.
All set, Doc?
That's it.
All right, and I have really nothing I need to bring up this evening. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate your input. And with that, I will look for a motion to move into executive session.
I move we move to executive session.
Second.
Move and second. Thank you, gentlemen. We are in executive session. It is 19:55.
No, an hour ago.
Hey, sorry to end so early.
I didn't have to put it
They got a night away from the kids, they wanted it to last longer.
Oh, the kids, that's why it's so quiet.
Always quiet.
3 miles.
Isn't that amazing how well Denver works?
Plus, you could add the number to it.
I'm glad to see you folks make it again. That's great.
Bragging on your wings and your pizza, man.
So I hear you're back behind the counter, huh?
I mean, I'm just pointing finger a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I tried to escape, you know, but nobody
So
wants
it's kind of like the Godfather 3, they dragged you back.
Yeah.
But he wasn't going to get away, he's not going to play the doing stuff.
Hopefully it's short.
Not a person. You know, they're going to be a button.
I have heard some positive things already about